I thought my life had hit rock bottom. Turns out, it could still go deeper. I'd just been let go from a job I wasn't even passionate about, a sales position in a small insurance office in Lansing, Michigan. My numbers had been down for months, so when budget cuts came around, I was the first target. The manager didn't even try to hide it. He offered no severance, just passive-aggressive comments like, "Maybe this line of work isn't for you." With nothing but a few mugs and my office badge in a box, I walked out of there into the chilly spring air. I told myself I'd be fine. After all, I still had Emily. At least that's what I thought. 2 days later, she told me we needed to talk. We met in our favorite diner. She looked down at her coffee the entire time, said things had gotten too routine, that she didn't feel the spark anymore. I wanted to tell her we could fix it, but I knew she'd already made up her mind. And deep down, I knew the job thing played a part. The worst part? She lived in the same apartment complex, just the next building over. I couldn't even throw away memories properly. I'd still see her walking her dog or laughing with friends on the balcony. I tried not to care, but I did. And on top of that, bills were piling up. I called my grandmother, the one person in my life who still spoke to me like I mattered. She had an idea. "Jacob, why don't you help out with your Aunt Ruth for a little while?" she asked. "Just a couple weeks. She's not dangerous, just off. She forgets things, talks to herself. I've been checking in on her for years, but I'm getting too old to keep doing it. She could use someone younger." Aunt Ruth lived alone in a small ranch-style home on the edge of town. She was my mom's younger sister. I barely knew her. We avoided her during holidays. Something about her made people uncomfortable. But she was family. Just make sure she eats, takes her meds, doesn't wander off. "I'll pay you, of course," Grandma added, "and I'll leave you some cash for groceries." It didn't sound hard, and I needed the money. The first day, Grandma came with me. The second we stepped inside Ruth's house, I felt the years collapse in around us. The place hadn't been updated since the 80s. Thick curtains blocked the light, doilies on every surface, a dusty smell of old perfume, and something sour lingered. The hallway was lined with yellowed newspaper stacks. Dishes were piled in the sink. A few dolls, yes, actual porcelain dolls, stared blankly from a shelf, and there was Aunt Ruth, sitting cross-legged on the couch, her hair in two braids like a child, a faded robe wrapped around her. Her eyes were bright but scattered. "Ruth," Grandma said gently, "look who came to help you." Ruth smiled wide. "Jacob, my favorite nephew." She never had many to choose from. Grandma handed me the pill bottles. One a day after lunch. Don't let her skip or double up. It makes her strange. Stranger, I thought. We left soon after. Grandma pressed a wad of bills into my hand. "That should last you a couple weeks. Just keep her steady." The next day, I came alone. As I climbed the front porch steps, I heard her voice inside, laughing, muttering. She says I can't play with my dolls, but Jacob will bring me more. He's nice. He understands. I froze. She was talking to someone, or no one. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. Silence. "Ruth?" She peeked around the corner, grinning. "You're early. Who were you talking to?" "No one," she said. I was quiet. I made her lunch, instant mashed potatoes and meatloaf Grandma had left in the freezer. After she ate, I gave her the pill. She took it reluctantly. "Do you think I'm crazy, Jacob?" I didn't answer. I started cleaning. The place was worse than I remembered. I left my hoodie on the coat hook and swept the kitchen. She followed me, watching in silence. When I was about to leave, I noticed my hoodie was gone. Ruth, did you see? I found it. In the toilet, soaked, stuffed in tight. Why? Why would you do this? I asked. She looked confused. I didn't touch it. Maybe it fell. I didn't know what to believe. The weirdest part? That hoodie had been a gift from Emily. I threw it in the trash on my way home. That night, I dreamed of porcelain faces smiling in the dark, and the voice of my aunt whispering, "Bring me more dolls, Jacob." The next few days with Aunt Ruth got weirder. She started talking to the walls. Sometimes she'd giggle, sometimes she'd argue with herself. I'd walk into the kitchen and find her standing still, eyes shut, whispering things like, "No, not that one. She bites." Every time I gave her the pill, she hesitated. Once she asked if it was poison. "It's to help you stay clear," I told her. "Clear of what?" she said. "The voices, the dolls?" I didn't answer. One afternoon, I caught her standing by the window, staring at the neighboring houses. "There's a woman across the street who watches me," she said without turning. "She doesn't blink. That's how I know she's not real." That same day, I noticed something was off in her bedroom. I opened her closet and found, stacked neatly, dozens of drawings, each one in red crayon. Sloppy outlines of dolls, but some of them weren't dolls. They were people missing heads. I told myself it was just her illness. That evening, I stepped outside to get some air. Just across the street, parked in front of Emily's building, was a sleek black SUV. It looked familiar. And sure enough, I saw her, laughing with some guy with a trimmed beard and a confident smile. He kissed her cheek before driving off. She caught my eye and hesitated. "Hey, Jacob, Emily, this is awkward." "Not really," I lied. She looked down. "I didn't plan it this way. We just connected. It's fine. Live your life." She gave a half smile. "You always say that, like nothing bothers you." I didn't respond. Instead, I handed her a plastic bag I had in my hand. "What's this?" she asked. "Just garbage. Thought you could use it." I turned and walked away. I heard her call my name, but I didn't stop. Back at Ruth's house, I felt empty. She was sitting on the couch, humming. Her fingers were red. A red crayon rested nearby. "I made you something," she said. She handed me a piece of paper. On it was a crude drawing of me standing next to her. We were both smiling, but in my hand was a knife. "What is this?" I asked. "You said you'd protect me." "I never said that." She leaned in, whispering, "They come when I sleep. I need protection." I didn't know what to say. I cooked her something, made sure she ate, and gave her the pill. She took it with a wince. Before I left, she grabbed my wrist. "Jacob," she said, suddenly serious. "If they knock, don't open the door." I left without responding. That night, I had the worst dream yet. I was in Ruth's house, but everything was covered in red. The walls, the floor. In the middle of the room was a doll, life-sized. Its face was familiar, too familiar. I woke up gasping. The next morning, I decided to clean her basement. She never went down there, and I figured I could organize a bit. When I asked for the key, she stared at me for several seconds before handing it over. "Be careful, it remembers." "What?" But she just walked away. The basement was exactly what you'd expect. Damp, dark, full of old boxes and broken furniture. But there was a smell, metallic, sour. In the far corner, hidden under a pile of rags, I found something heavy. A 5-gallon bucket with a lid. I lifted the lid an inch. The smell got worse. Something pale was inside, something that looked like flesh. I dropped the lid and stumbled back. I didn't look again, not that day. When I got back upstairs, Ruth was waiting in the hallway. "You saw my gifts," she said. "What's in that bucket?" I asked. She just smiled. "I only keep what you bring me." I said nothing. I left. I walked for hours, tried to forget, but I couldn't because deep down, I didn't know if she was lying or telling the truth. I couldn't stop thinking about the bucket. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself that what I saw down there, what I thought I saw, was just something old. Rotten meat, maybe, or a prank. Yeah, a sick prank by Ruth. Maybe she put a turkey in there and let it go bad just to scare me. But I knew that wasn't it. The next day, I avoided the house for as long as I could. Took long walks, ate at a fast food joint, scrolled endlessly on my phone like it could erase memory. Finally, as dusk set in, I walked back to Aunt Ruth's. My legs felt heavy. She was waiting at the window when I arrived, smiling. "You came back," she said when I walked in. "Why wouldn't I? You always come back," she said softly, "even after you bring me terrible gifts." My stomach turned. "I didn't bring you anything. You don't remember, but I do." She walked over to the table and picked up a crayon, red again. She started drawing something feverishly, not speaking. I made us grilled cheese and tomato soup. She slurped it down and took her pill without protest. After dinner, she handed me the drawing. It was a house drawn in childish strokes. Her house. There was a stick figure inside, and another standing outside the basement. The one outside held what looked like a head. "Who is this?" I asked. "You. Bringing me what I asked for." I shoved the paper into my pocket and stood. "I need to take a look down there again." "Not after dark," she whispered. I went anyway. This time I brought gloves and a flashlight. The basement felt colder. Or maybe I just noticed it more. I moved carefully, checking every box, trying to ground myself with the smell of dust and old paper. But when I returned to the bucket and opened the lid again, there was no mistake. Inside were two heads, one male, one female, both in the early stages of decay. The man had a neatly trimmed beard. The woman had long dark hair and a chipped front tooth. My knees buckled. I barely made it to the drain before vomiting. It was them. Emily and the man from the SUV. I backed away in a haze, gripping the support beam. My hand brushed something behind it. I turned my light. There was a knife, still wet. And suddenly I remembered. Not everything. Not like a movie. More like puzzle pieces floating to the surface. I remembered watching them laugh from across the street. The rage, the pounding in my head. Following him, confronting him. The glint of the blade. The sound Emily made. I had done it. I had brought the bucket. I had blamed Ruth. I staggered upstairs, not even sure what I'd say. She was sitting on the couch, calmly petting a stuffed animal like a cat. "You look pale," she said. "I remember." "I know." "Why didn't you say something?" She smiled. "Because you were my favorite." The words chilled me. "I'm going to turn myself in." "Okay." "You're not going to stop me?" "You've already stopped yourself," she said. "You just didn't know it yet." I felt sick, trapped. The next morning, I sat at a park bench for an hour before finally calling the police. I didn't tell them everything, just enough to make them investigate. When they came to the house, I stood outside and watched. 2 officers went in. One came out minutes later, pale and shaking. They found the heads. They found the knife. But what they didn't find was Ruth. She was gone, vanished. No footprints, no signs of struggle, nothing on the cameras, just gone. They searched for days, issued a bolo, questioned everyone, even dug up part of the backyard. Nothing. I was taken into custody, charged. They evaluated me, said I was mentally unstable, that I had experienced a trauma-induced break, that Ruth was likely a hallucination, something my mind invented to shield me from guilt. But she was real. I know she was. She drew, she laughed. She watched me sleep from the hallway. I still see her, every night, in the corner of my room, smiling. It's been 6 months since they locked me in here. The room's clean, sterile, every surface designed to be safe. No sharp edges, no drawers. The walls are eggshell white. The lights never turn off completely. Even at night, there's always a soft hum above me. I've been through dozens of sessions. Therapists, psychiatrists, questions. So many questions. Why did you do it, Jacob? Was Ruth ever real? Did you kill them to punish Emily? At first, I told them the truth. That Ruth was real, that she encouraged me, that she smiled when I brought her those heads, that I heard her whispering to her dolls when she thought I wasn't listening. But they didn't believe me. They showed me documents, hospital records that claimed Aunt Ruth died in 2017, that she'd been cremated, that no such woman had lived in that house for years. But I was in that house. I spoke to her. I touched her. She made me soup. I started to wonder if they were lying. Maybe they wanted to protect her. Maybe she was dangerous to more than just me. Then I found the note, folded into my hospital bed sheets. No one knew how it got there. It was on yellowed, perfumed paper. The handwriting was hers. You did well, Jacob. They never saw you coming. I'm proud of you. Keep playing. Love, Ruth. I read it a dozen times, hid it under my mattress. Maybe she wasn't a hallucination, or maybe I'm more like her than I ever thought. They say I'll be here a long time. Maybe forever. But that's okay. I've started drawing. Red crayons only. The nurses say it's a creative outlet. They don't look too closely. If they did, they'd see the patterns, the faces. Last week, a nurse left a child's doll on the rec room windowsill. Someone said it was for therapy. It had no eyes. I smiled. Sometimes I hear her at night, her voice through the vents. Bring me more dolls, Jacob. And the truth is, I kind of want to. Because I've realized something. Ruth may be gone, but something else woke up in me that spring, and it hasn't gone back to sleep.